Hey, it's Sunday, October 20th. I hope you're doing well. Today's gonna be a quick video. I'm gonna talk to you guys about how I find it really easy to talk to people. They can be people from any walk of life. They can be from any place, anywhere, speak any languages. They can have any sort of perspective. I, for some reason, find it to be so easy to relate to anyone. This wasn't always the case for the longest time, even up until this year, up until the start of this year. I wasn't able to do that. I couldn't just go up to someone and strike up a conversation. I'm not exactly sure of the changes that took place that allowed me to be able to talk to anyone, but I know a few of the things that I do that allow me to talk to anyone. Number one, I realized how the worst thing somebody can do when you try to strike up a conversation is be uninterested. That's the worst thing. And if they're uninterested, you don't have to talk to them. You can just exit out of the conversation just as quickly as you went in. There's no downside to striking up a conversation. That being said, you don't want to go strike up a conversation with somebody or some random person that is acting crazy and irrational. That can be dangerous. But using common sense when you strike up a conversation, the worst thing that can happen is that they just don't want to talk to you, and that's completely okay. So what if someone doesn't want to talk to you? What if a random person doesn't want to talk to you? So what? It's not that big of a deal. Another thing I found to be incredibly important when in a conversation is to completely devote yourself to that conversation. No matter who it is, no matter what their perspective is, if you can devote yourself to the conversation, you will keep an enticing conversation. If you're not distracted by your phone or other things happening around you, if when you're talking to someone you can just look at them in the eye and continuously look at them in the eye while you speak to them, and look at them in the eye as they speak to you, and not think about anything else other than the topics of that conversation, then you are bound to have a much better conversation. This works for anything. When you devote yourself to something, the result of that thing that you are devoting yourself to will always be better. Number three, I've also found that having some sort of relatability is important. It can be something really small. So, I was in the elevator in college. I was going down to the ground floor of this building I was in, and I saw this Korean kid. I didn't know he was Korean at the time, and he was on his phone. He seemed kind of awkward. It was the first or second week of school, and everyone just wanted to meet people. So I just asked him, "Hey, how are you?" And he responded, "I'm good. How are you?" And I said, "I'm good." I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "I'm from Korea." And I said, "Oh, where in Korea?" And he said, "Seoul, which is the capital of South Korea." And I took Taekwondo for 6, 8 years of my life, and my master, he was actually from Seoul, South Korea, and that was a relatability thing. I told him that. He smiled. I talked about how I learned to count in Korean and learned a few different words here and there, and how my master loved to eat kimchi. Kimchi was one of the only things he ate, and it wasn't a very deep conversation. It didn't have to be a deep conversation, but I was able to, I guess, take him out of his box, take him out of his shell, and just have a nice little interaction. I came out happier from that interaction. I'm sure he came out happier from that interaction. There wasn't anything negative to it. It was purely positive. Even if you have discourse with somebody, it's okay. Never try to purposely make them feel bad. And that doesn't mean to not stand your ground. If they become disrespectful, then don't devolve to their level, but respectfully separate yourself from the conversation. You don't have to take disrespect, but don't be malicious in conversation. The art of conversation, it can't be simplified into a however long this video is going to turn out to be. But the universe measures in devotion. The universe gives you results based upon the devotion it measures. If you devote yourself to a conversation, not only will you get something out of the conversation, something valuable, but you will also have a conversation that is, in your eyes, considered worth having. A conversation is not like math or any sort of science. A conversation is fluid. There's almost nothing like a conversation that exists outside of the conversation. Books can't encapsulate a conversation no matter how hard they try. Even movies, they can't encapsulate a conversation. A conversation is pure in nature. A conversation, it's unlike a good conversation. It's unlike any other experience. A good conversation is like a gauntlet. It makes your good and correct ideas stronger and more resolute, and it finds the weakness in your arguments. It sniffs out the bullshit that you tell yourself and that you think. A good conversation, a single good conversation, can completely change your life. I love conversation so much, but I don't get to have enough of it, at least not yet. That's why I want to start a podcast one day. Not for the sake of views or anything, I don't really care much for that. I just want to talk to people. I just want to have amazing conversations with those that I want to learn more about, those that I see are doing something, those that I see have thoughts deeper than the surface level thoughts of most people in this age. Reading books is also very important for conversation, expanding your knowledge, expanding your skill set, because what you do is very critical to what you learn, because the universe flows through what you do. And the more things you do, the deeper you dive into them, the more you'll learn, and the more you'll actually be able to offer in conversation. I've talked to many people in college. Most of them weren't really worth talking to because didn't have any thoughts deeper than the surface level. There's this thing my dad talks about, and it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it's displayed in the pyramid format, and the top of that pyramid is self-actualization. I've yet to make any sort of pyramid for conversation, but at the surface level, there's just the hi, hellos, and small talk, and then you get one level above that, you talk about your needs, and then you get one level above that, and you talk about your feelings and whatnot, you talk about your issues, your problems, and then you get near to the top, and that's where you converse to learn. Most people don't converse to learn. When you converse to learn, you go so deep into conversation. You not only learn about the other person you're conversing with, but you also learn so much about yourself. So much that has been hidden away, either on purpose or subconsciously, that just gets revealed. Your ideas, your philosophies, your preferences, preferences that you didn't know you had. I know this video wasn't really that structured, but it's just random thoughts I've had. I thought about the topic 30 seconds before recording it. I hope you enjoyed, and I think I'm going to write an essay about the art of conversation, or just conversation in general, and how important it is. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.